49ers at the Packers. I was going to say one of the most compelling games of the weekend. It is, but they're all very compelling. Nick Bosa, concussion, listed as questionable. It's looking good for him to play. That's always a little dicey to get into if you're a coach because, and they don't enforce this, but I can remember when they first had their concussion epiphany, one of the great no-nos is to even talk about a guy who's yet to be cleared. He's not cleared. It's like he's not even there. Once he's cleared, he's back. Don't talk about it. Don't do anything. Don't put any pressure on him. When he's ready, he's ready. But obviously, if he's ready, that makes a difference for the 49ers. They need to shorten the amount of time that Aaron Rodgers has to pick apart their secondary because if he has unlimited time, Peter, he will.
And, Mike, I really look at this game as, sort of a survival match because you're absolutely right. Nick Bosa is essential. Fred Warner is almost as essential, and they both come in damaged into this game, and they are vital to whether the 49ers have a real legitimate chance to win. And on the other side, it's the absolute benefit of getting a second week, of getting that 13, 14-day gap in between games. And now you get to find out, hey, can Whitney Merciless come back? Can Zadarius Smith come back? Can Jair Alexander come back? And so those are the kind of things that, you get when you have that bye that are bordering on the luxurious, if you're talking about what's really important at this time of year.
Jimmy Garoppolo also with the shoulder injury on top of the lingering thumb injury. He's been removed from the injury report. No designation, which means he is absolutely positively good to go. You mentioned Fred Warner. His ankle injury apparently won't keep him from playing. It looked bad when it happened late in the game on Sunday against the Cowboys. So good news tentatively as it relates to Bosa from an injury standpoint for the 49ers. And as to the Packers, Randall Cobb back from injured reserve. He had core muscle surgery.
Big.
We used to call I remember when we used to call that a sports hernia. I guess core muscle surgery.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that sound sound better? Sound more more advanced? Either way, he's back. And which is good because Marquez Valdez-Scantling is listed as doubtful with a back injury. So Randall Cobb, the guy who was the peace offering by Brian Gutekunst, the Packers GM, back at the start of training camp. It feels like years ago when Aaron Rodgers aired out his dirty laundry and his grievances against the front office, and lo and behold, here comes Randall Cobb, a guy they really didn't want that they could have had back pretty much any time over the past few years. They brought him back at the behest of Aaron Rodgers, and now he'll be available to play. And if MVS isn't there, that can only help Aaron Rodgers have a target. If they blanket Devontae Adams and they have that overmatched secondary, he's going to need other guys that he can trust to throw the ball to. He's got Allen Lazard, who has developed nicely, but now with Cobb back, that's just one more weapon.
Look, here's the really important thing about Randall Cobb, okay? We all know that Aaron Rodgers is a creature of habit. And when you see Aaron Rodgers play a football game, you see him playing never with happy feet, with jittery feet, looking in any way but utterly, absolutely calm, even when he's getting firestormed by a pass rush. What Randall Cobb does is he gives Aaron Rodgers a guy who is the ultimate comfortable receiver for a quarterback, because one of the things that Randall Cobb does, he runs precision routes. He always has. And so this is almost like, remember a few years ago when the Patriots beat Atlanta, obviously, in the Super Bowl, and the two most important receivers down the stretch were Chris Hogan and Malcolm Mitchell. And you look at that and you say, why in the world is he going to, Hogan and Mitchell over these, Gronk and Edelman and all that stuff? And the reason is because Tom Brady knew that they were incredibly precise route runners. And that is exactly what Aaron Rodgers has in Randall Cobb. And I think if Randall Cobb holds up in this game, Mike, and it's a game in the fourth quarter, I will guarantee you that there will be multiple targets to Randall Cobb down the stretch.
And I don't disagree with that. And again, the 49ers defense on the back end, not great. Troy Aikman, the former Cowboys quarterback, went off earlier this week on 97.6 the ticket or 96.7. One way or the other, they know who we mean. In Dallas, talking about how the Cowboys failed to take advantage of that secondary. They were so focused on their scheme, they lost sight of the fact that CeeDee Lamb had single coverage all day long. So you throw him the ball, you throw him the ball, you throw him the ball. Whoever's getting single coverage against an overmatched defensive back is going to be getting the ball a lot, and maybe it will be Cobb because maybe they'll be focused primarily on Devontae Adams and secondarily on Allen Lazard. So we know how the Packers are. We know how good they've been, 13-4 after two straight 13-3 seasons. Here they are playing at home at Lambeau Field. Aaron Rodgers, MVP, most likely. What do the 49ers have to do to pull this off, to come out of there with the ticket to Tampa or Los Angeles for the NFC Championship?
You know, I said this last week, the exact same thing about the 49ers going into Dallas. I think they have to limit the number of possessions that Aaron Rodgers has. And in last week I said it about Dak Prescott. You know, the golden game for San Francisco is for Rodgers to get the ball 7 or 8 times, and that's it. And the reason that is because if you limit his number of possessions, you know that you are controlling the game on the ground, that Elijah Mitchell is being effective. Deebo Samuel from his hybrid spot is being effective. And you are getting the benefit of being able to run the clock. That's what I think is important for San Francisco in this game.
Yeah, and also minimizing the opportunities for Jimmy Garoppolo to screw everything up. And I'm done being diplomatic about this. And there is a Garoppanon cult, much like the Tuanon cult, that gets mad. And I just think it's basic fandom where you know this is the guy that we're stuck with, so we're going to rally around him. We're going to support him, even though we know deep down he can be counted on to F everything up at some point, like he tried to do last week. Blown opportunity when Brandon Ayuk was wide open when it was 23-7 and they could have added to it. Blown opportunity. And even more than a blown opportunity, it was opening the door with that interception you see on the screen when it was 23-10. And one thing leads to another, and it's 23-17. And the 49ers, in a game that they thought they were easily winning, had to sweat it out until the final ticks came off the clock. You got to find a way. And I remember very vividly 2 years ago in the divisional round, last game I attended, one of the last times I traveled before the world turned upside down, Jimmy Garoppolo served up 3 balls that Eric Kendricks of the Vikings could have intercepted. He ended up intercepting one of them. On the last one in the third quarter, that's when Kyle Shanahan put Jimmy Garoppolo into Bob Greasy mode, and he had very limited opportunities to throw for the rest of that game, hardly any in the NFC Championship against the Packers. That's what the 49ers need to do. Limit Jimmy Garoppolo, which means maximize Deebo Samuel, maximize George Kittle, but especially Samuel. But I think that just enough happened late last week to freak out Kyle Shanahan. He can attribute it to the injuries, whatever it takes. Look, Jimmy knows, he knows deep down that while he can help that team win, he also can be counted on to screw everything up at the worst possible time. And I don't think Shanahan is going to let him screw this up. That's going to be one of the keys. You can't let Jimmy G screw it up.
Well, you know, last week after the game, Mike, I had a chance to talk to Garoppolo for about 10 minutes. I put our conversation on my podcast this week. And I think that I came away a little bit empathetic toward Garoppolo because, you know, when Paul Burmeister explained it on my podcast this week, your thumb is your anchor when you throw the football. Without having the thumb as an anchor, you know, and Burmeister theorized that it's probably shot up before the game wears off in the second half, and then that throbbing pain is coming in again. So, look, as well as everything you said when he did not come through sort of in the clutch 2 years ago in the playoffs, their Super Bowl year. I do think that the other part of it is that, his mechanics are messed up, and he's just going to enter this game at a pretty significant throwing disadvantage. That's another reason why the running game becomes vitally important for the 49ers.
And all the more reason to minimize his role, and you have the cover of an injury because, frankly, healthy or not healthy, it's still going to happen. Still going to happen. And I understand that the thumb is a factor, but it's still going to happen. He had bad interception before the thumb injury on that Thursday night against the Titans, bad interception after the thumb injury, good throw before the thumb injury, good throw after the thumb injury. The key is that one moment you can count on. You can count on. You can set your watch to it. There's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo at the worst possible time doing something that makes it either harder for the 49ers to win or causes them to lose.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.